Hi, Julia Watts here. Thank you for joining me on my channel. Today we're going to make a version of this card here, featuring some Fairy Hugs stamps, just a few, and one of the new stencils in the background. So using quite a cool technique, but very, very simple to do. So we're going to start with doing some spraying. And obviously, because we're underneath the camera, I've got a little box here with a towel in it, which is my special crafting towel. And in here we've got I've just put an A6 piece card in. We are dealing with a 5.5-inch square on the main piece, and because I'm doing a tag as well, I did actually miss an A5 piece originally. So we're going to start with a couple of stains. We've got the Dylusions Spray stain Crackling Campfire, and then from Diane Reevely we've got the Dylusions Lemon Zest Shimmer Spray. You can buy both of these currently on my website, juliawattscrafts.co.uk, for shipping to UK addresses. So the shimmer sprays are actually best, because they've got mica in them, they're best off stored on the side. And you just you can hear that ball bearing, you just agitate them to get that mica mixing up. So we're going to go in quite close, and we want a really good covering of the Crackling Campfire to begin with. Don't worry if it bows, it will do. You can of course put another piece of card underneath to catch all the bits. So we'll start with that, and then we'll add some of this on top. And this is a technique or a pairing that I saw on the Ranger website. Can you see that kind of pulls a little bit? It pulls it out. It's really cool. I thought, yeah, that's a really good idea. So we'll have some of that. Obviously, the more you spray with the lemon zest, the more mica-y it's going to be. I don't know if that's a proper word, but we'll just say it is. So obviously I would probably, if I was doing this at home, I would have something underneath to catch all that wonderful spray as well. But so that's what you do. Just leave it to dry naturally. Don't dab it off, because if you dab it off, the mica races to the surface and you'll be dabbing off some of that lovely shimmer, and you don't want to do that. So put that side to dry. And the Super Smooth watercolour card from Sentimentally Yours is really good at absorbing moisture. So it does dry. That'll dry in about an hour. Just left to dry naturally. So you can see this one here is already dry, and they'll never be the same twice because of the way that the mica reacts with the the distress spray stain in the background. But I don't know if you can see, there's a lovely shimmer to that, and a little bit of kind of blotchiness, but I kind of quite like that. It adds to the design. So we're going to dust it with my anti-static bag. This is a Sentimentally Yours anti-static bag. Again, available on my website. And this one, you can see there is some transference. So I'm keeping this one specifically to use with inks, so I don't mess up my normal projects. And you just get, there's just occasionally a little bit that comes off. So we're dusting this so that when we put our embossing ink down, we don't get fingerprints which attract the embossing powder as well. So this is 5.5 inches square, and we're going to take the Fairy Hugs. This is the water stain stencil, which is just a super cool stencil. And we're going to pop this on there like so. We can secure it if we want to, but we're not going to. We're going to live dangerously. We're going to take an Emboss It dabber from Ranger. So this is just embossing ink, but with a dabber top to it. And we're going to just press and squeeze through the stencil. We might have to do it a couple of times, but we'll see. And we might miss bits, but I mean, the nature of this stencil actually means that it doesn't really matter if it's not perfect, because, you know, these aren't perfect circles, are they? See, I want to make sure, get some sort of method going so you don't actually miss one. Get all those splats in as well. surface. Nearly there. These are very good quality mylar, in my opinion. Great for using with your, you know, your distress oxide ink pads. I would use a sponge with the stencils though. You know, no, a stencil brush, not a stencil brush. One of those smooth brushes, inking brushes. I can't remember what they're called. Right, okay. So let's just take that off, and I'm going to just put that to one side in the same way that I've actually put it down. So when I want to put it back again, and get in the right place, but you can just about see the ink there, so we might be all right. There might be a gap in the middle there, but we might be all right. So just take a piece of paper, and we're going to go for the Sentimental Yours Pure Gold embossing powder, which is a super fine embossing powder. Sometimes it's good to have a bigger piece of card than you need, because then you've got somewhere to hold. So we just do the bottom half first. See, that might be part of the stencil, it might not, it doesn't matter. It's absolutely fine. And then we do this part. I think we're probably good to go. We'll see what it looks like when we set it. Give it a flick. And if you are buying the Sentimental Yours embossing powders, they're like wow embossing powders in that they've got anti-static in the powder, and they've also got anti-static in the pot. So always return it to the pot, don't decant it into a larger pot. I mean, I just anti-static, just a matter of course, I just always have done. Right, so we're going to just heat set this now. So as always, it's a good idea just to heat your embossing to your heat tool up before you actually take it to your project. I'm just going to set it. And follow, don't waft around like this. Just follow the design around. You can heat from below if you want to. But I like seeing it go from the top. There's nothing wrong, you just find your own way around. You're not going to need to do this a second time. This one is absolutely fine as it is. So if you give the embossing dabber a little squeeze as you're applying it through the stencil, then that does seem to get a better result than just pouncing on. So squeeze and kind of rub it through. When I did the original one, I did it twice, but to be fair, I did put a sparkling embossing powder on first, and it didn't really bake as much as I wanted it to, which is why I've gone for the super fine pure gold. Oh, missed a little bit. You can see when you've missed a bit because it's dull, and that's lovely and shiny. Here's our background, really cool background. Water stains, that stencil's called. So this ink will just wash off under the tap, so we'll wash that off later. So I'm going to pop that underneath my board so I can flatten it out a little bit, and we're going to go onto our tag. I've used this is the Studio Light Oriental tag dies that I've used. I'm still waiting for some of those to come onto my website. I have ordered some, but nothing's happened at the moment. So again, we're going to dust that with our anti-static bag. Again, just to make sure that this bit isn't quite so important. We are going to use embossing powder on top, but we're only going to use clear embossing powder because we're actually going to stamp in black. So we're going into my Press to Impress stamping platform, and this again is available on my website. We've also got these sheets as well, which help to kind of line things up, and they also help to keep your platform nice and clean. Now we're going to do one stamp at a time, I think. Yes, so in the original one I've used this is Cara, But for a change, I think we're going to use Valentina instead. Just so it looks a bit different, just to give you options. So this is from Fairy Hugs. And she's going to just sit to the right hand side of the tag there. I think she's straight. Let me just have a look. Yep, she's straight. I need to make sure I leave enough room for my sentiments, which is my Leave a Sparkle sentiment. So she needs to go over a little bit. Let's pop that there. Let's pop her over a little bit. Okay, make sure she's straight. Yep. And pick her up onto the platform. So we're going to stamp her with Nocturne Versifying Clay. And we might need to do it twice. The reason I'm doing it this way instead of having the gold is that it will pop on the background more, because obviously the background's the background, but she's the kind of the feature, if you like. But I am going to put embossing powder on her. Hope she hasn't moved. Oh, she's stamped pretty. What you will find is that because there's mica spray, that the stamping isn't as even as using a background that's not got mica on it. Hope that makes sense, because you can see the mica through the ink, which is fine. Again, it's a personal choice. There she is, nice and deep. So we just move her out the way, add our embossing powder. I'm not going to heat set her just yet. I'm going to play with fire and try and do the sentiment and then heat emboss at the same time. So that's nice and covered. So you've got plenty of time. Once it's covered, you've got plenty of time to heat set it. Obviously, you don't want to knock that powder off. So when you go back into the platform, you want to be careful where you put the tag. So what we'll do is we'll take Valentina out, pop her down there, and we'll bring our tag in this way instead. In fact, let's move it over there. So we've got space to put a magnet there, and we'll have a magnet down here, and then we'll bring in our sentiment. Leave a little sparkle. Again, this is one of the new Fairy Hugs, or the latest collection of Fairy Hugs, and this just about fits, which probably means I've got to pull it down a little bit. Let's have it on there. That gives me a chance to put another magnet up there actually, so that's a win-win situation. And these sheets are very good because you can line them up and it helps you line your stamps out up as well, so it's just about fits. So we have a magnet up there, and we can have a magnet down here, and we can have another one there. So we've got real insurance going on here to make sure nothing moves. Pop that down, and again we go for our Nocturne. You want a nice juicy ink pad, so Versifying Clays are perfect for this, and the regular Versifines. I think it just the industry just loves the Versifying Clays, so it's like the newer version of a Versifine, and there's lots of lovely colours. Again, we've got all the colours in stock on my website. I do only ship to the UK, so I'm sorry if you're watching from outside the UK. That's pretty good. I am just going to go once more, just so it's nice and dark, so that when that embossing powder grabs it, it's nice and dark like the other one. Okay, there we go. I mean, it looks fab as it is. So again, it is choice as to whether you emboss it or not. sure you put the clear on and not the white, because they look exactly the same. Let me just heat set that. This is the last bit of heat setting we need to do. I think that sentiment fits very well with the fact that we've got a bit of a sparkly background with the mica. You can see now she's nice and glossy, but we've got all that detail because we've used the lovely VersaFine clear. Even the detail there on the little dress that she's wearing, absolutely fabulous. Don't worry about any kinks that you get here, they will flatten out. So we're now going to go back to our background, which has been under here. So I'm going to swap these over, and we're going to stamp some little condo dwellers in here. I mean, you can do them by hand, but sometimes if you do them on the platform, let's put this back in the right place. If you do it on the platform, then you can do them all at once, and you can see how your positioning is going to be. So obviously figure out which way round you're going to do your background. I think we go that way, and we will butt it up into the corner just in case it moves. So now we need to actually think about our layout. So we're going to have our tag, and I've cut the outside piece out of black, so we know that the tag is going to go around just about there. Okay, so we know we can play with the areas around this. So we are mainly looking at above. We're not really looking at maybe putting any down here, unless we want to put one down in the corner, which we could do. There are two condo dweller sets from Fairy Hugs. There's Condo Dwellers, which has got 5, and there's Condo Dwellers 2, which has got 6. So we could have, let's see which way there. We've got this little one here who's pointing up, that one. So she could be coming in. That's not the right one. Be a good idea if I put them in the right place, really, wouldn't it? That's not that one, that's that one. Sorry, didn't realise that they were in the wrong place. Yes, I've swapped them over. That's the one that's pointing up. So she could be down here, coming in up there, and the other one's opposite. So we've also got, I think this one that's standing there is going to be a bit too big. They need a wash, these. They're coming unstuck. I think she might be a bit too big to sit. Oh, no, she could. We could sit her in there like so. Let's do that. And I like her. I think she's fabulous. Like that. And we could bring in another one. Let's see. Perhaps another one up there. And we might be just going for it here. Might be too many, but I like them. I think they're cool. Right, let's have that 5. It's an odd number, so we get away with that, won't we? And we can take our tag away now. This is why the platform is just wonderful, because I can stamp all these at once. And with these, all I'm going to do is just stamp them in the Nocturne. I'm not going to emboss them. Of course you can, but do be careful that because you've already embossed the background, that you don't actually over melt the background so that it flattens out, because you want that raised background that you get from your embossed ink or your embossing powder. Give them a good old press. See if I need to do them again so they're darker. Yeah, let's have them a little bit darker. Don't they look fabulous? And they're cheaper stamp sets. They're $4.50 each. But it's that you use them so much, they'll fit in with absolutely every Fairy Hugs release that there's been. I do hope that hasn't moved. I don't think it did. No, we're good. See, that they're better when they're darker, aren't they? So fetch that off and we can construct our card now. I'll deal with all those afterwards. So do remember that ink is wet, so kind of bear that in mind. So let's find our tag. What did I do with that? There it is. Put that to one side for a moment. See, that's flattened out a little bit. It could do with flattening out a little bit more, but we haven't got time to wait for that. So I'm using Sentimental Yours glue. I do like the big bottles. It's a really good glue. Less is more with glue. You don't need loads. If you don't like glue, just use your double-sided tape. That's absolutely fine. And I've already put my little ring on and my little jute twine. And we're going to just slide that in there like so. Make sure it's nice and straight. Turn it over. If you've got these tags, do be careful that you don't actually run your fingers around the die cut edge, because you'll cut your fingers. You get a little paper cut, which is not very pleasant. And we'll put some foam tape on there, which I didn't grab. I'm only going to go for the thin stuff though. 1mm. I don't want it very deep. Where's my scissors? I hope you enjoying this video and you subscribe to my channel. It'd be lovely to see your comments, and feel free to share with any other Fairy Hugs fans that are out there. So we're going to put this onto black card, and I'm using, this is Elegant Ebony black card from Sentimental Yours. Again, I have that in stock. I think I actually have everything in stock what you're using. You can always email me at juliawattscrafts@gmail.com if you can't find what you're looking for. And pop that just with a little gap. So the black card is 5 3/4 inches. I don't do centimetres. And we'll pop some foam tape on the back of this as well. Again, just 1mm. It's amazing what a little bit of foam tape can do. I think it makes your project look a little bit more expensive if you've got a little bit of dimension on it. That's just personal choice, of course. Now, my finished card is actually 6 1/4 inch square, but there's nothing stopping you just putting it as a 6 by 6. And I've just used pure white card for this, again from Sentimentally Yours. It doesn't matter what colour, you could put cream on the back if you wanted, so you could put the alabaster white or the or an ivory card at the back, because obviously everything's sprayed or black on your finished pieces. It's just to finish it off because it gives that kind of pop of colour. Check I'm straight. And then we can add our tag. Just butt it up to our line there, like so. And there we go. So I hope you've enjoyed that. We've got two versions. We've got the original version and with Cara and the flower vine stencil, and then we've got the version that I've just shown you with the water stain stencil and Valentina. So thank you for watching. Like I say, you can find everything on my website, juliawattscrafts.co.uk. Be sure to follow my Julia Watts Crafts Facebook page, and the Fairy Hugs store Facebook group is a wonderful place to go for inspiration. Thank you very much. Bye.